What's up, Transformers fans? Mondo the Dad Bottomus Prime here, back with another Moonbase 84 transmission, and today we're going back to Cyberworld and checking out the Transformers Cyberworld Cyber Changer Energon Surge Cheetor. Now, I'm not going to admit how many takes it took me to spit out that mouthful, so we're just going to look at Cheetor, and here he is. Obviously, as you can see, he is not a cheetah. He's some kind of Arctic cat. My brain automatically goes to snow leopard, but again, no spots, so he's some kind of Arctic cat. We'll take a closer look. And here he is, and of course, he's cast almost all in white, or at least for his limbs and his head and his tail, and then that big chunk of blue clear plastic, which, you know, makes a lot of us collectors nervous. And that's a lot of clear plastic, but we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on in the video. But what you do get is some nice sculpt work in, you know, in the white limbs and things, and you do get hits of like this metallic blue, very icy, you know, evokes a very ice motif. And then back to his tail, but a lot of nice robotic panel work. And then there is the cheetah head. It's washing. You do get some blue in the eyes, a little paint hit for the nose, some teeth. Now it's weird because of this sculpt work here. To me, from certain angles, he looks more like, if I can get it, the camera's washing out the white, but that sculpt work there, to me, from certain angles, makes him look more like a wolf than a cat. But still, a nice head sculpt. Unfortunately, his mouth doesn't articulate. Again, Cyberworld, very simplistic. And really, if you leave the legs pegged to the sides, like the instructions say, not really any articulation, but you can unpeg them and swivel the legs, both front and back like that. But that is the only articulation in beast mode. And here's Cheetor next to another Cyberworld beast former, Snarl, which is funny because Snarl is supposed to be, obviously he is, not supposed to be, a Stegosaurus, and look how much bigger Cheetor is to him. And then we got the Truck Not Monkey Optimus Primal. Again, Cheetor is quite bigger. So overall, a pretty cool Arctic type cat for Cheetor's beast mode that I really do like. I think it's pretty cool. So we will go ahead and transform him and take a closer look at his robot mode. So to start off, what you want to do is unplug the tail, then come around here. And I will say once again, for a toy that's supposed to be a simplistic transformation, the transformation itself is simplistic, but due to how tight everything is, it can be a pain in the butt. But because of how tight it is, I gotta push here. There we go. I'm starting to loosen it up. And you go bloop, and then you unpeg the legs. Oops, now he's coming apart. Unpeg the front legs to make the robot arms, and unpeg the back legs to make the robot legs. And there is Cheetor in robot mode. So here we have Cheetor in his robot mode, and the first thing that struck me when I saw him, he comes in robot mode in this package, but the first thing that struck me when I took him out is the proportions on him. As you can see, he has extremely long arms compared to his legs. So he's almost like ape-like in a way, but we will take a closer look at his robot head. The design of the head is clearly Cheetor. You do get the blue metallic for the face, for his face, but the helmet doesn't have any paint, but you can see the sculpt work, if it's not washed out from my camera, that it is very Cheetor. Moving down, you have the cat head. I want to say cheetah head, but it's not a cheetah. But the also thing, and I didn't mention in the beast mode, is how this Cheetor's beast mode is robotic. It's not supposed to like try to look like a real cheetah, which I do think is pretty cool. But you can see it there on his chest, and the white bit's coming up. And then here you could kind of see it in his beast mode, but you do get some hits of white in the blue clear plastic. Then moving down to the arms, which were his just cheetah arms, but now flipped around, you can see that here's the paw and there's his fist. So the paw is at the end of his fist, and this kind of reminds me of like Wild King figures. Long Rat comes to mind, how he has the long arm, because you have his fist and then the extension of his beast mode leg. And then you get that nice blue paint there on the legs. come around, and once again, this was the back of the Cheetah. There is some panel work there. Now this is a big chunk, as I mentioned, of clear plastic, and it does make me a little nervous because of the automorph transformation gimmick. It's all like either clear plastic parts that move this, or it's actually I think it is all clear plastic parts that move that. I was gonna say or solid like plastic connected to it, but it is. So that, you know, does make me nervous over time. It is very solid, but who knows how well it'll hold up over time. Maybe Hasbro has done something to make it stronger, who knows. But yeah, just going by the history of clear plastic, all those hinges and moving parts make me a little nervous. And of course, he is a Beastformer Cyber Changer, which means he gets an accessory, which is his tail, which you can use as a weapon. And I do think that's kind of cool because the Beastformer basic Cyber Changers are the only ones that end up with an accessory. And here's Cheetor once again, this time in robot mode with Snarl and Optimus Primal. And I think it's kind of interesting that in alt modes, Cheetor is significantly bigger than both Primal and Snarl, but they're almost the same size in their robot modes. As for articulation, it's Cyberworld, so we know it's very basic, but his arms do, you know, rotate all around. They come out this far. No elbows, no wrists, we know. At least elbows, I just wish. No head, no waist. Legs can do the split that far, kick forward, back, and a knee bend. So I darkened my filming area as best as I could so we could check out his Energon surge effect, and I will say that looks, hopefully you can see it on camera, pretty damn cool. Yeah, I'm digging that. So that is the Transformers Cyberworld Energon Surge Cyber Changer Cheetor. And overall, I think he's a really fun addition to the ever-growing Cyberworld collection of toys. I think even though he's not a cheetah, and it's weird he's called Cheetor, and that's not a complaint, I just think it's funny Cheetor is not a cheetah. But anyway, overall, the figure is a fun little toy. Nothing crazy. It's everything that we've come to expect from, you know, Cyberworld in terms of articulation and simplistic transformation. The gripe about the elbow still stands. I feel like I'm beating that to death at this point. The Energon Surge clear blue plastic, in this case, clear blue plastic gimmick, is really cool. It's a really cool effect when you shine the light behind him. It looks awesome, but again, having that clear plastic, so much clear plastic, especially so intricate with, you know, well, more integral than intricate, integral to the like automorph gimmick of Cheetor, does make me nervous. Time will of course tell how, you know, that stands up. But besides that, another fun little Cyber Changer Cyberworld figure. I can't wait to see him appear in the show, and you know what they do with him in the show. I'm pretty sure he'll show up in the show. With that being said, comment to let me know what you guys think, and as always, thanks for docking.